Let's jump to Dell. So Dell Technologies, my headline on my research note was delivers record year despite COVID-19 pandemic. So if you had told the market that, hey, these OEMs like Dell are going to deliver record revenue in their 2020 campaigns, after you heard what's happening with COVID, with China, with supply chains, you probably would have shook your head. But the one thing none of us got right, which is part of the reason we have this constraint with production right now, is that demand was going to go through the roof for PCs. And
That's
Dell
right.
has that diversified business of both infrastructure and client. And it had a record year in its PC business, Pat. Shipped over, I don't know, the number is over 50 million, right? It was like 50.4 million PCs this year. And the company saw some staggering growth, 17% growth in that category this past quarter. So really strong results, 50.3, sorry, in the calendar. The company really breaks its business into two big groups. It's got the client group and it's got the infrastructure group. Let's make no bones about it. The infrastructure group was flat year over year for this quarter. Storage down a couple points, network servers up a couple points, but overall, it was only flat. And by the way, only flat was, I call this a win after several quarters of not being able to meet prior year. But this was the part of the business that got hit really hard. You're not going on-prem and deploying new infrastructure. Things were moving to the cloud. That's why the cloud businesses were exploding. On-prem businesses were struggling a little bit more. But overall, I think this was a really good result for their ISG business. In the client business, though, 50.3 million, as I said. Huge commercial success. Dell saw about 16% increase in that space, but really had a big year overall on just their commercial business. And of course, like you said, the most recent data showed something like 17% growth in the PC space. VMware slowed a little, still grew 6% after, I think, 10% growth quarters, and finished out the year at 9%. Question marks, Pat, that I have around Dell going forward, despite record revenue, tremendous operating prowess, record operating income, showed its ability to tighten its belt, run the business effectively, drive more dollars, something like $8 a share of earnings. So go Michael Dell. You should be very proud of yourself and your company. Keynote speaker, 6.5 Summit last year. Michael, good job. Thank you.
Thank you.
VMware, the growth stalling a little bit, but the bigger question mark that I have is Gelsinger's departure, which happened this last quarter. He headed over to Intel. We look forward to talking to him at some point in the near future. But also, what's going to happen with that 13D? And so that's been lingering out there, Pat. That was a filing that the company was considering to spin off the asset of VMware for big money, as it was being undervalued somewhat by the market. So those are kind of the things on my mind, but overall, really good year. What do you think?
Yeah, a couple things I'll fill in the gap on. First off, they continue to pay down an incredible amount of debt. And if you remember when they went public, and even when they bought EMC, that was the big question mark. I just want to point out their PC group was up 17%. That is not a typo. Okay, it's funny. That's absurd. It's less absurd when you look at the market went up 25%, but absurd when you think just how much that is. And it was nice to see this quarter that consumer growth kicked in, whereas last quarter it was primarily a commercial story. So, and the final thing is storage was off, and it was funny. I had some NetApp fans commenting to me on Twitter, basically saying how much better NetApp did. The thing to understand about Dell in storage is Dell storage operates in every subsegment. Okay, that includes mainframes, which, by the way, is one of the most profitable areas out there. If you didn't pay attention to IBM earnings, you should. Mainframes, Z has been down 2 consecutive quarters of big time. I think it was down 19%. That doesn't mean people are not buying mainframes anymore. It's just the cyclical nature of mainframes and where they are in their life cycle with Z 15. I'm. You didn't say you were concerned with Daniel on VMware, but I think it is something that investors want to know. I mean, the CEO's gone, and there's a search that's out there. They want to know who it is. Growth as a percent went down. I feel like as a software and cloud play, VMware should be double digit. It should be at least 10%. Easy for me to say as a pundit, but I am a pundit. And I think that's what it takes to be looked at as a growth stock. You have to be double digits to be even in the realm of a growth stock. And my final comment is, if they choose anybody other than Sanjay Poonen, who's president and COO there, I will be completely shocked, and I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, that would be a prime choice. It seems like it would be the right choice. Keep continuity going, but I think for the shareholders, the company, the board, knowing that this 13D is out there, the CEO, they're going to want to have lead. Those things could all be playing a factor into whom will be chosen for that role.